Sottie, what do you have for us?
Well, so welcome to the Talking Point segment. For today's discussion, the Talking Point, there are two principal conversations. The first one, we'll be looking at a few weeks to the start of the 2025 AFCON. A few of the nations have begun to drop their squads for the AFCON, and so far it's generated a lot of conversations. Botswana, South Africa, Cameroon, Nigeria, Egypt have all dropped their list. And of course, once there's a list, your favorite player might be excluded, and so there's a lot of conversations. We'll be joined by a Nigerian sports journalist and also a Cameroonian sports journalist to delve into all the issues, particularly because these are the big countries that have generated a lot of conversation. And then also, you spoke about the World Cup, which comes on Friday at 5 p.m. in the US. And also, we will have a lot of conversation on that. We'll try and speak to a journalist who will be covering the event, tell us the preparations toward that. We'll look at the ports. Ghana is in port 4, and Ghana will meet a country from each of the ports. And also, the way the things have been done is been such that Ghana will not meet any of the African teams. And so we'll obviously meet opponents from different continents, possibly North America, possibly South America, possibly Europe, possibly Asia, in port 1, 2, and 3. And so we'll look at the various dynamics, the teams we could meet, the highs and lows, and what could possibly go wrong. So basically, that's it for Talking Point on the show today.
All right, so if you can have the ports on our screens, or yes, the ports in terms of the World Cup, which countries are in port 1? So there we have it.
So in port 1, we've got the host nations: Canada, Mexico, and the United States of America. These three are the countries that will be hosting the World Cup. And usually, traditionally, once a country is hosting the World Cup, they are in the first port. And then for the continuing countries in port 1, we've got 2010 winners, Spain. We've got the defending champions at the moment, Argentina. We've got the 2018 winners, France. We've got 1966 World Cup winners, England. We've got the record holders of the World Cup, 5-time winners of the World Cup, Brazil. We've got Portugal, who have never won the World Cup, in there. We've got Netherlands, who were 2010 semi-finalists. They lost it to Spain. We've got Belgium, and we've got Germany, who won it last in 2014. Then in port 2, we've got 2018 finalists, Croatia, and then we've got the first African country in the list, Morocco, who is also coincidentally the first African country to reach the last 4 of the World Cup. They placed 4th at the last World Cup. Then we've got Colombia, Ghana's nemesis, Uruguay. We've got Switzerland. Then we've got Ghana's opponents in the last international friendlies, Japan. Then we've got the second African country on the list, Senegal. Then the Islamic Republic of Iran. And then Ghana's last opponent, also in the Caribbean Cup, Korean Republic. And then we've got Ecuador, who represents South America. Austria, also from Europe. And then Australia, making it the last country in port 2. Then for port 3, we've got Norway, who are making it to the World Cup for the first time since 1998. Panama, who were last at the World Cup in 2018. Egypt, also making it to the World Cup. They missed their last World Cup in 2022. They are back to the World Cup for the first time since 2018. Algeria makes it an appearance to the World Cup. They missed the 2022 World Cup at the expense of Cameroon, and they are now back at the World Cup. Scotland also made it to the World Cup for the first time in a long while. Paraguay were last at the World Cup in 2010. They make a return. Tunisia, also, they are one of the countries very good at qualifying for competitions. Tunisia has made it to the World Cup again. So from here, we see a lot of African countries. Côte d'Ivoire also make it to the World Cup for the first time since 2014, where they had the likes of Didier Drogba, Kolo Touré, Yaya Touré, and as well as Salomon Kalou and Gervinho and the likes. Then we've got Uzbekistan, who are making their debut in the World Cup. So these are the countries that have benefited from the expansion of the number of teams that can participate. Uzbekistan makes it to their first ever World Cup, and they are ranked higher than than Ghana, who also be participating, who will be at their 5th World Cup. Qatar, who were the host of the last World Cup, are also one of the teams in port 3. And they slightly Saudi Arabia, who are also one of the giants in the Gulf region, who are also looking to host one of the World Cups in the near future. And then 2010 World Cup host South Africa make it as the last team in port 3. Then for pot 4, Jordan also making to the World Cup for the first time, leading in pot 4. Then Cabo Verde, also one of the teams that benefited from the expansion, also making to their first ever World Cup, are also the second team in pot 4. And then you have the almighty Ghana, who are making into their 5th World Cup. In fact, in the last 6 World Cups, Ghana has missed that on only once, 2018. And yet, they are in pot 4. And also, Curacao also making it to their first ever World Cup. And then Haiti, also to their first ever World Cup. And New Zealand, after missing the last World Cup through the Intercontinental Playoffs at the hand of Australia, they have made it back, or they are staging a return to the World Cup. And then we'll have the places for the European playoffs. So there are 4 slots for them. And then remember, there's also the FIFA Intercontinental Playoff next year in March, where DR Congo is one of the seeded teams, as well as Iraq being the seeded team. So DR Congo needs to play 1 match and face the winner of Jamaica or New Caledonia, whilst Iraq also play 1 match, and then the winner of that game will then make it to next year's World Cup. So those are the pots for you.
You have the European spots too.
For now, I doubt we have the European spots.
No, I'm saying they are the European.
So there are the European spots where teams like Italy, Turkey, Denmark, Poland, Wales, Czech Republic will be fighting for 4 slots to see who can make it to the World Cup. It will be interesting to see, because a lot of these countries were present at the World Cup a few years ago. Wales was at the last World Cup. Poland was at the last World Cup. Denmark was at the last World Cup. Italy has been almost a generation without seeing Italy at the World Cup. The last time Italy was at the World Cup was in 2014 with Giorgio Chiellini, Bonucci, and Basali, Gianluigi Buffon, Mario Balotelli, and a host of other, Andrea Pirlo. That whole generation has almost faded out. I think Mario Balotelli is one of the few players who are still around. So it will be a tragedy if we do not see Italy at the World Cup.
All right, so we are still trying to get in touch with our man in the USA, that is Chris Katos, to give us an update of how the US are preparing for the World Cup that will take place on Friday. But before that, remember the show is a interactive one, so when we display the message lines on the screen, you can send your message, you can read it for you, and also when you open the phone lines, you can also call in to share your comments. But let me still come to Sottie. Let me take his World Cup draw prediction. You already know the countries that are in pot 1, pot 2, pot 3, and pot 4. You did mention that Ghana cannot meet any African country, but it can meet any other country in there. What are your predictions for the World Cup, especially in the context of Ghana?
Honestly, I think that for almost all the World Cups, except 2022, Ghana meets USA most times. I don't know whether it's fate. It just seems to happen. It's just a connection that seems to... It's a fixture we do not miss at most World Cups. And so, as usual, I anticipate a USA game. So we're meeting host nation US from pot 1. I hope we would have the pots on the screen so that we could now...
If you can have the pots on our screen,
So from pot 2, I see Croatia. Obviously, because we're an African country, there's no chance of us meeting Morocco or Senegal. So there's a chance of meeting Croatia, Colombia, Uruguay, Switzerland, Japan, Islamic Republic of Iran, Korea Republic, Ecuador, Austria, and Australia. I have this feeling we'll meet Austria. So for pot 1, I tip you. I think USA. For pot 2, I'm thinking of Austria. For pot 3, I think there's a chance we could meet Paraguay or Saudi Arabia.
So USA, Austria,
Paraguay
or Saudi Arabia.
Or Saudi Arabia. Yeah, then Ghana.
Do you see us qualifying out of this group?
With the way things are going, obviously it wouldn't make sense if Ghana doesn't qualify from the... I think the only way Ghana not qualify from the group is maybe if we are in a group where there's Argentina and then there's maybe Croatia from pot 2, and maybe there's Norway or Norway from pot 3.
So
unless we face extremely difficult teams.
So I can give the group of death for our group. So pot 1, go for an Argentina. Pot 2, go for an Uruguay. No, but it won't work because these two countries are from South America. So pot 1, I'll go for Spain. Go for an Uruguay in pot 2. Then pot 3, I'll go for a Norway. Then Ghana.
You really believe in Norway?
I'm giving the group of death.
No, but group of death, I don't think Norway qualifies as a team that will.
No, with the attacking powers, I think they're a country to watch out for, especially in the soccer, and the manner in which they did qualify to the World Cup. I think that they did.
The manner for your point, the manner in which they qualified, you are right. But let's go back to this same team. This same team has been assembled for the last 5 years. This same team failed to qualify for the Euro 2020. This same team failed to qualify for the World Cup in 2022. This same team failed to qualify for Euro 2024. This is just their first attempt in 4 major competition qualifications. So I'm thinking we are overrating this team because, as you said, they've got good attackers. On paper, they've got good midfielders. On paper, they've got good defenders. Some of their players were in the Serie A. Ostegard was playing for Napoli. Nyland was a goalkeeper of Sevilla. Sander Berger is with Fulham. They've got good players. Oscar Bob is with Man City. Yeah. They've got good players on paper. But if you look at it, this is the first real time this team has gelled and won all 8 games in the qualifiers.
And that's why they are dangerous. But
if you also look at where they are coming from.
When they didn't qualify during that period, we were on them that how can't you qualify? But now they are doing what they are supposed to do.
I also think we are just overrating them. It's just once that things have worked out for them, I don't think they will be twice lucky.
All right, so we are trying to still get in touch with Chris Katos for him to join us to give us an update. But before we go to Chris, just like how we've given our predictions here, we also spoke to some fans earlier on, asking them what they think about Ghana's chances in the World Cup, whether they think that Ghana will do well or Ghana won't do well, and which other countries do they think that Ghana can meet in the World Cup. So let's go for area take. Remember, area take is powered by Betway Ghana. They are saying that when you arrange the games, you get your code, you can share it with your friends, fans, and followers. If they use your code, you will earn 4% of their wager. Let's go for area take. This World Cup we played in the USA, Canada, and Mexico. My name is James Ohenba McKeown, and this is Area Take on Sports World. Remember, this is sponsored by Betway. We are here asking Ghanaians what they think about the performance of the Blasters in these 2 friendlies.
Me say dia me wonder so mami man me bo empire say nyame boy na yenko yenim ye do World Cup no a yenko yenim chen friendly match na ye ni omo boy no me dia many da so an say be kwa kodu semi final ye bebe fie
semi final
enu a na me dia me pe
then na be ka say amanfo no mo say enye yi no
omo dia mo ne gidie wo team no mu but me dia this time dia full support me the tomochi no mun ko mini
me on say South Korea ni Ghana match no me hwe match no pa ba me on say Ghana for no aka omo bebe kakra because performance no usha low because players no ye dey omo World Cup e wo say nhwe mu na nhwe players here because omo a hwe na ye ho omo no players no bebre na omo position no omo tumi ball no miye nti I was saying shena inform share baby ye no mutumi mbo matches no because match in there omudi Japan there omanya ade kra
ti o share World Cup no countries be na person ye share omo e World Cup ni
ba me dey make on the 5th December and me e be I fabulous na me sure me dey first match na me person be say me share Ghana ni Spain first match enu na me share sa match na be say me share sa match ni pa
me say me dey make catch Ghana ne madam enye
are na
enye menye
edenti o dem my ade ba ko a o try o hwe enye yi
madam me hwe ni that on say enye
ba ye okudu so ye pate scan ye dey corner na say Scanner ye
body akobon ya body akobon ye Ghana party. Oh.
you do quarter final so that.
Oh, masa. Where the
May I say, in a very positive manner, Ghana is going to bring the World Cup. The senior team is going to bring the cup.
Why do you think so?
In the name of the living God. We have done it before. Look, under 20, twice, isn't it? Once. Then under 17, twice. Why this time we can't bring this in? The seniors can't bring the cup. We should all hands on board, all legs on board, all bodies on board, both in spirit, in the soulish, as well as in the kick-up. I'm down.
Thank you. So you heard Ghanaians giving their thoughts about the Blasters friendlies they played against Japan and also South Korea. It's a divided opinion. Some think that with this performance, Blasters can't go far in the World Cup. Others also think that, yes, we can improve. A lot of players didn't come, and they even think that we can go on to reach the quarterfinals and even the semi-finals of the 2026 World Cup. This is Area Take with me, James Ohenba McKeown. Remember, Area Take is brought to you by Betway Ghana. We'll catch you. So all hands on board, all body on board,
All legs on board.
all legs on board, all spirits on board, in the soulish and in the kick-off. Charlie, so that was the predictions from some Ghanaians concerning the World Cup draw that's coming. We are trying our best to get in touch with Chris Katos, but before he joins us, let's quickly shift to the AFCON 2025 that is coming on in December. The Christmas there, we did spend them in Morocco. Boys for spend them in Morocco because Ghana no qualify, but actually we still for day there and see how it will go. But the countries have been bringing in their squad for the tournament. Nigeria have done that, DR Congo. So if you can quickly have the squad on our screen. Let's start from Cameroon. Let's start from the camp of Cameroon. Let's have the Cameroon squad on our screens. I don't know whether Sottie can take us through, but most importantly, Andre Onana is not in the squad. Captain Vincent Abubakar is not in the squad. Frank Zambo-Anguissa will also miss the tournament due to injury that they had. But then, as usual, Carlos Baleba of Brighton and Hove Albion is in the squad. We also have Brian Mbeumo of Manchester United also in the squad. In the absence of Andre Onana, Davis Epasi is likely to be the man in the post for the Teranga Lions. No, these are not
Indomitable
Lions. The Teranga Lions are from South Africa. This is the Indomitable Lions of South Africa. So to take us through the squad.
So for the Cameroonian list, the goalkeepers, we've got Simon Omosola, we've got Davis Epasi. He replaced Onana when Onana was sacked from the World Cup squad in 2022. Now we've got a goalkeeper who's got a mouthful of a name, Simon Ingapadotembu. Then we've got Edouard Songban. So we've got 4 goalkeepers heading to the World Cup. Then for the defenders, we've got Christopher Wu, who is a teammate of Alexander Djiku in Russia. Then Junior Baptiste Chamade Nuhutulu, who is with the Seattle Sounders in the US. We've got Darlene Yongwa and Jezino Inyamsi and Mahamadou Nagida and Jean-Charles Castelletto. Then also Junior Samuel Koto, Flavian Boyomo, who plays for Osasuna in the Spanish La Liga, Eric Junior Dina Ebimbe, Olivier Kemen, Carlos Baleba, who plays for Brighton Hove Albion in the English Premier League, Martin Atamenge Nzi, Arthur Avom, Fidel Brice Ambina, Danny Namaso. For the attackers, we've got Brian Mbeumo of Manchester United, Jean Onana, who plays in the Serie A, Christian Basogov, who is the only member of the 2017 AFCON winning squad who is still with this team. We've got George Kevin Nkudu, Carl Eta Eyong, who plays for Levante in the Spanish La Liga. And then there's an opportunity for a new entrant, Christian Kofani, who he plays for Bayer Leverkusen in the German Bundesliga. He's the youngest ever goal scorer for Leverkusen in the Champions League at just 19 years old. He's a player to watch heading into this competition. He has not even done the jersey for Cameroon yet, but he's been invited for their AFCON. And then we've got Serge Patrick Soko, as well as striker Frank Magri. So from this list, obviously you can see no Andre Onana, no Vincent Abubakar, no Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting, as well as no Collins Fai, no Michael Ingade, and as well as a host of other players. No Andre Frank Zambo Agisa, he's out through injury. No Neyu, a host of players who were senior figures in this team also failed to make it. So it means that out of the squad you just saw on the screen, 15 of them have never played at the AFCON before. Just about 4 of them have been to the tournament once. About 3 of them have been to the tournament twice. And only Christian Basogok has been to the AFCON 3 times. He was there in 2017 when they won the AFCON. He was there in 2019. And he was there in 2021. He missed the last AFCON. So he's the only player. He's the most experienced player. And so he's the one who is expected to lead the team in terms of experience there. Big shockers. New coach David Pago replaces Mark Brees, and later on we'll give them the details from that. If we could get the DR Congo, squad on our screens as well. For the DR Congo team, the goalkeeper Timothy Fayulu, who made the crucial saves for DR Congo in their penalty shootout against Nigeria to ensure the secured qualification to the 2026 Intercontinental World Cup playoffs in March next year, makes it to that list. Also, Lionel Impassi, who is with Le Havre in France, who is their main goalkeeper, also is in that list. Then also we've got goalkeeper Epolo, who is also their backup goalkeeper there. Let's head to the defenders. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, formerly of Manchester United, now formerly of Crystal Palace, now at West Ham United, also makes it to his first ever AFCON. He just switched nationality in September of 2025 and is going to make it to his first ever AFCON. Then as well, Gideon Kalulu and Arthur Maswak, who was formerly of West Ham, now with Sunderland in the English Premier League. And also Kayembe, Rocky Bushiri, Axel Twanzebe, formerly of Manchester United. Formerly of Ipswich, now with Burnley in the English Premier League.
Best player.
Romeo's best friend. Also is also in that list. He also makes it to his first ever AFCON as well. And then the skipper, Chancel Mbemba, once he's not injured, he makes it to the list. He made over 100 appearances for them. And then he's once he's fit, he's assured that he'll be at the AFCON, and so Chancel Mbemba is also there. And then Kapwadi makes the list of defenders. For midfielders, Noah Sadiki, who he plays for Sunderland in the English Premier League, he's also made his appearance, his first ever AFCON. Kayembe also makes it, and then Mutusami, Charles Piquel, Mukau, Strikens, who just made it into the team. Just when DR Congo was about to play in the World Cup playoffs, he gets his second ever national team call-up straight to the AFCON. Then they've got Bongonda Balikwisha, who also got his first call-up against Nigeria. He is placed in Celtic in Scotland, and then Mbuku and Sipenga make the list. Then for the attackers, Simon Banza makes the list again. The CAF Interclub Player of the Year, Fiston Mayele, makes it to the list. He plays for Pyramids in Egypt and the DRC team. Also, Esende makes the list. Meshak Elia, he scored the first goal for DR Congo in the game against Nigeria. He's in that list. And Cedric Bakambu also makes the list. So the big one is that Yuan Wissa, who plays for Newcastle United in the English Premier League, he injured himself in the September international break when DR Congo faced Senegal at the 80,000 capacity Stade de Matters in Kinshasa, DR Congo. He injured himself, and since then he has not recovered, and so he misses the AFCON team for the Democratic Republic of Congo. So the only big miss for DR Congo is that Yuan Wissa will not be in the squad. Let's head to the Bafana of South Africa. For the South Africans, goalkeeper Ronwan Williams is in post. Ricard Goss and Sifo Chain make up the list of goalkeepers that help Ronwan Williams. For defenders, Ronwan Williams' teammate Kuluso Mudau is also in that list. He's with Sam Downs, Thaban Matuludi, Tylon Smith, who is a new player in the South African team. He's with Queen's Park Rangers in England, also makes the list. And other players like Obre Modiba, Kulumani Indamane, Siabongo Ingezani, Samukele Kabini. Then for the midfielders, very importantly, also from Mamelodi Sundowns, Teboho Mokoena had a very good AFCON in the last AFCON in Ivory Coast. He scored a very important free kick for the South Africans, which helped them to reach the last 4 and made a podium finish there. A better goal for them against Morocco in that 2-0 victory over the Atlas Lions of Morocco. And then for the forwards as well, we've got Evidence Magopa, Lau Foster from Burnley, as well as Elias Mokwana. Also, they've got a standby list that has Mduduzi, Shabalala, Ikram Reines, and Tabu Mulesani. Also, the big stories from the Bafana squad is the fact that Percy Tau and Temba Zwane did not make the list. Temba Zwane, due to a few injury situations they have suffered, and Percy Tau due to a loss in form. So these are the countries that have announced their squads. Also, Nigerians, whilst other countries are announcing their final squad list, 26, 27-man squad, as Super Eagles brothers, our West African noisy neighbors, have now decided to announce their 54-man squad with less than a week to announcing the final squad, which they whittled down to half. So the 54 players you will see on your screens, if you take 2 players, 1 is not going. So out of the 54, it will be whittled down to half of the players. 20, at most 27 of them will be going to the AFCON. If we could have the Nigerian squad on the list, it's got the return of Francis Uzoho, who is also on that list. Maduka Ukoye is also on that list, and as well as Stanley Wabali. For the defenders, the big news is that Olaina, who was injured a few...
So, Sottie, let know Mikati, since Chris has joined.
Oh, Chris has joined us.
He's joined at the right time. He
joined at the right time. But still, let me still finish with the list. So right. We'll still have the list on our screens. Ola Aina, he injured himself a few months ago and he was risking missing out on the AFCON. He's in the provisional list for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, as well as Shemi Ajayi, Chidozie Awaziem, Calvin Bassey, William Chustokan, who is a skipper for the Super Eagles. In midfield, of course, Wilfred Ndidi, Frank Onyeka, Hassan Yusuf, Alexi Wobi, Dele Bashiru, as well as his brother Tom Dele Bashiru, make up the list, as well as Christantis Uche, who is struggling for game time in Crystal Palace in England. For the forwards, the usual suspects: Ademola Lookman, Victor Osimhen, Tolu Aroko Dare, Simon Chukwueze, who scored 2 goals for Fulham yesterday when they took on Manchester City at the Craven Cottage. Moses Simons, he missed the penalty for Nigeria in that crucial game against the DR Congo. Adam Sako, very important player who was bombed up and is on the just best onto the scene for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Chidera Ejuko, who is playing and featuring regularly for Sevilla in La Liga as well. And there are also big introductions. Taiwo Awoni has been in and out of this squad for the last 1 year. He makes a return to the provisional squad. Victor Boniface, he has seen an exit from the last 2 call-ups. He's seen a return. Cyril Dresses as well, who was also seen a few exclusions, mostly from the team, is also part of the provisional squad as well. Nathan Taylor also in that list. So big players are in that list. And usually the problem in Nigerians, look at the attackers. They form the most part of their squad. And usually that's what causes them problems. They go into tournament with a lot of attackers. Things happen, and now they are facing a lack of fullbacks, lack of creative midfielders, and then a plethora of attackers.
So it seems that we've lost Chris Katos again, but we will try our best to bring him. But you didn't Sottie mentioned the Cameroon squad, also mentioned that Andre Onana is out, Vincent Abubakar. There's a whole lot of issue going on in Cameroonian football between FECAFOOT and also the sports ministry. Earlier on, we spoke to Cameroonian sports journalist Lawrence Nkede, asking him first of all about the AFCON squad and also what's happening with Samuel Eto'o and also the sports ministry, the fracas and the brouhaha on in the Cameroonian squad, a lot of things. So let's enjoy this interview with Lawrence Nkede. When we come back, the show continues. It's just a few days to the AFCON 2025 in Morocco, and the countries have been announcing their squad. One prominent country that a lot of people have tipped at the country that can win the AFCON 2025 is Cameroon. They have released their squad, and it is made up of a lot of controversies. A lot of players are not in the squad. We have with us Lawrence Nkede, who is a Cameroonian sports journalist and also a consultant for CRTV. Lawrence, good afternoon, if you can hear me.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's always a pleasure to be on ABC.
Great to have you on this afternoon too.
Yeah.
Now let's kick off. Now, how do the Cameroonian people react to the failure of the team to reach the intercontinental playoff spot? Let's start off from there.
Well, I think the continental playoffs sport, it was something natural. I mean, people were already disappointed that we didn't qualify naturally and logically for when Africa had two slots. Cameroon was part of the two slots. I mean, we qualified in 19 for the 1982 World Cup, where Africa had just two slots. We qualified for the 1990 World Cup, where Africa, I think, had just 2 or 3 slots. When Africa had 5 slots, we were present. And it's unimaginable that we get to a level where Africa has 9 slots and Cameroon is not among the 9 countries. So it was a great disappointment because since the beginning of the World Cup campaign, we have been having problems between football stakeholders on one side, the Cameroon Football Federation, and on the other side, the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education that brought in the coach for the team. So we had practically 2 staffs, 2 teams for one nation, and that disorder, we carried it all through the qualifiers, and that's the main reason why we couldn't qualify directly. So getting to the playoffs, people were a little bit skeptical that they couldn't go anywhere.
All right, now from the World Cup, let's come on to the Africans, to the AFCON. Now, yesterday was announced that head coach McBrice has been sacked. Can you take us through what led to the sacking of the head coach?
Well, we know, as I was saying earlier, that the federation wasn't in line with McBrice being coach of Cameroon. The FA had already sent its disapproval months ago since the coach was nominated. So it has always been a conflict between the coach and the federation, and normally the coach should be the employee of the federation. Unfortunately, in our situation, the coach was the employee of the Ministry of Sports. So there has been this insubordination between the coach and Eto, the president of the FA. We had video footages of this clash on social media, and I think the last one was going in for the playoffs, the African playoffs, where the federation would ask the coach to come to Cameroon, and on the release his list, the coach would refuse, and the coach would say he is going directly to Morocco, and that's where he is going to publish the list of players called up to play the playoffs. So we always have the disagreement between the coach and the federation, and one of the objectives given to the coach was to qualify the team for the World Cup, which he failed to do. And we should understand that his sacking came in 24 hours after Eto was re-elected president of Cameroon Football Federation. After this re-election, the Eto sat down with the executive committee of the Cameroon Football Federation 24 hours after his election, and decided to get rid of the coach and name a new staff just 3 weeks into the African Nations Cup. And getting rid of the coach equally means getting rid of the key players of the team, because the experienced players, they were on the side of the coach and the Ministry of Sports. And I bet you, since the coach came in, McBrice came into the Lions, then Eto has never set foot, has never greeted the players directly, has never made any speech in front of these players, has never set foot in the dressing room. So he was always at a distance, and he wanted to get back control of the team. Freshly re-elected, he sacked the coach immediately and brought in one of the assistants, who he named David Pabo, who is a well-known name at the level of local football in Cameroon, and put him at the helm of this team, with the immediate consequence that players who were pro-Ministry of Sports, all the big guys, the Andre Onanas, the Michael Garders, all these experienced players were completely sidelined, and Vincent Boubacar equally. All these players were completely sidelined and sent off the team.
Alright, now the era of Magbrace is over. As you did mention, David Powell has been appointed as the head coach going forward. Now, can you tell us a bit about this new head coach? What are his credentials? Which club has he coached before? Has he coached any national team before? And do you think that he's the right man to send Cameroon to the AFCON 2025?
Well, I think it goes down with the Eto's philosophy of having a national coaching, coaching the national team, not taking a foreigner. And when you look at David Pabo, he's a well-known figure. He was named best coach last season. He was named the best coach of the elite championship of the previous season. And he has been champion of Cameroon with PW Bamenda, winner of the Cup of Cameroon. He has been in the second-tier league, taking teams from there and bringing them in the elite division. So he's a well-known figure at the level of the local championship, at the level of local football in Cameroon. Internationally, he has been part of several selections, but not at the forefront, but always in the position of assistant. And even in the era of Magbrace, he has been one of the local assistants imposed on Magbrace. So all through Magbrace's tenure at the helm of the national team, David Pago was around the team and was watching keenly.
All right, those are interesting scenarios when it comes to the football of Cameroon. You did mention that Samuel Eto'o has been appointed as the new federation head for FECAFOOT. Now, we also learned that he went unopposed. How did that happen? How has that affected the mood in the country? Are the people happy about that decision?
The country is divided. The country has been divided for the past 4 years. We have two camps, the pro-Etos and the anti-Etos. And even though he has been, to get his re-election, Eto made sure that he will go there unopposed. I mean, sanctioning former Indomitable Lions Jeremy Jita, who was a potential candidate for this position, he was given a 10-year ban. And so many big heads of Cameroon football who could be serious contenders, they were all sanctioned and given 5 years, 10 years bans. And at the end of the day, he found himself as the sole contender who could fill up all the criteria set up to become candidates. I mean, even the text of the federation were modified so that it suits him. I mean, he's just doing what happens generally in Africa, where you find dictatorship, where you find one man going in for a vote by acclamation practically. So he did his homework and did it the African way of sidelining any potential candidate that could come up, and his election was practically by acclamation.
That's interesting. This might seem a little bit from what you are discussing, but does the FA's election situation mirror the country's political situation?
Well, you know, Eto is one of those who said outrightly that he supported the outgoing president. He was even member of the campaign of President Paul Biya. So everything is being linked politically. You cannot handle football in Cameroon if you are not with a ruling party. So the football is entangled with politics, and generally speaking, the nomination of a head coach of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon at the level of Cameroon, the way we understand it, comes from the presidency of the republic. So you always have to get approval from the presidency of the republic before nominating a coach. This time around, we don't know whether he got that okay, because all the previous coaches, you always have the okay from the presidency of the republic, and sometimes it has happened that it is the presidency that looks for a coach and gives it at the federation and says this is the coach of the national team. So there is always that bond between politics and football in Cameroon. The two are linked. It's always a political nomination. I bet you Even in 1990, when Roger Miller was going to the World Cup, he wasn't selected by the coach. It was a decree signed by the President of the Republic that included him in the Lions squad that went to that 1990 World Cup where he did marvelously good. He was selected by the head of state and not by the coach. So we have been used to in that setting where politics always mingles with football.
All right, now let's look at the squad itself, Lawrence. Now, Andre Onana is out of the squad. Vincent Abubakar too. You've already given the backstory of them being the pro ministry and also the other players being pro too. But does Andre Onana's exclusion have anything to do with his fracas, specifically with President Samuel Eto'o?
Yeah, evidently we knew that if Eto'o takes back the team, he's going to kick them off. I mean, we have a picture. I think I will have to send you that picture, a picture of players at 11 p.m. in the night at their hotel doing a press conference, calling on the federation to permit the coach work, to permit Mark Brace work the way he wants with the team. So the guys who were seated in front, they have all been kicked off the team. So it's obvious that when Eto'o takes back power, automatically Onana will be kicked off the team because he was one of the big guns. He was already the vice captain of the team. I mean, experienced players like Michael Gardel, who won the AFCON 2017 to Vincent Abubakar, all these big guys who we knew that they were the landlords of the team. They have been completely wiped away for a new generation to take over the team. It's just 3 weeks to the African Nations Cup, but we have this youthful squad that's coming up. And it's a bunch of players that the coach will have to harness and bring together to form a team. So for now, we have a bunch of players, but we don't yet have a team.
That's interesting, but in your opinion, do you think that Andre Onana and Vincent Abubakar will ever be back into the Cameroon national team? Will they ever be back?
Nations Cup, they are equally missing the World Cup, and they will not be able to make it back into the squad. And I think some of these players, they were already saying it in the backyards that it should be their last competitions. I mean, they were already moving out, so they were just precipitated out of the team. But we knew that after the World Cup, many are those who will not make, who would say goodbye to the team.
What an interesting way to end your career with the national team. Well, let's move on to another player. Michael Ngadu has been in and out of the squad. He missed the World Cup. What's up with him?
Well, I think he was one of the big guns too, equally in that conflict. He was one of the top players of the team, and I think he has never had it the right way with Samuel Eto'o. Each time Samuel Eto'o is at the forefront, Michael Ngadu will be kicked out of the team. Each time Eto'o is sidelined from the team, Ngadu makes his comeback, and immediately Eto'o comes back, Ngadu will be kicked off. And it has been like that on and off. It's just like a Cold War. It's a silent war. We know already that if this section of the people are in charge, these other people will be away, and if these people come back, these other people. So that's why I said earlier that the divisions are really deep into the team, and to build up a new team, Eto'o said it in his speech that no player will be above the national team. That's why the first thing was to cut off the heads of some of these so-called landlords, or the so-called pillars of the team, in order to build a new team from scratch. And we have a couple of young players who are coming in. Some are just discovering the national team, and those who have been left behind, I mean the experienced players, apart from Basogok and Belmo, Basogog at the level of the attack and Mbemo of Manchester United. You don't have much. All the other players are practically new players or some players who were called up but who never had playing time because the big boys were around, and now all the big boys have been chased away, and it's an opportunity for us to discover all these players. So what we are going to see at the African Nations Cup is a new coach, it's a new team, it's a new spirit. It's what the new coach David Pago called the future of the indomitable Lions of Cameroon.
All right, now still on the squad. Up front, the most experienced player now is Christian Basagog, who is the only member of the 2017 AFCON winning team. Even with him, he's been resigned to the bench of late. Now, this leaves us with Frank Margaret and Etta Young. Are they capable of getting the job done against Gabon, Ivory Coast, and Mozambique in the AFCON?
I think it's going to be difficult. I mean, Basogog doesn't have that energy of 2017 anymore. So Basogog of recent just comes in to play 10, 15, 20 minutes or 45 minutes at most. And Frank Magre, he has always been given the opportunity, but has never made it with the indomitable Lions of Cameroon. Etta Young is still very new. He is at his debut with the indomitable Lions of Cameroon. But I think the interesting player will be Christian Kofane of Leverkusen, who is just 19 years old, who is coming up and making his entry into this team. So it's going to be tough up front. I mean, when you look at our opponents in the likes of Mozambique, Cote d'Ivoire, and regional rivalry with Gabon, it's really going to be tough for Cameroon. But when you look at the philosophy of Coach David Pago, when he plays locally with the local teams, he is much more interested in the group than in individuals. He's always playing with the block, with tough players who will be able to give him all the energy and run up and down. So he is a coach that thinks more about the group, that plays with a block team than depending on individuals. So I think he is going to bring that same philosophy at the level of the national team and create a block against all these opponents. But so far, Cameroon is no more going as one of the big boys of the AFCON. We are going with an experimental team that is set to become the future of the indomitable Lions of Cameroon.
That's an interesting one. But as the squad was announced, we realized that we are looking at about 5 players who are yet to make their debut for Cameroon. As you mentioned, that list includes Bayer Leverkusen striker Christian Kofane. Also, looking at the attacking lineup, we have Brian Mbeumo of Manchester United already. You didn't mention that of Christian Basagol. Looking at the attacking lineup currently of the Cameroonian national team, what do Cameroon people think about that particular lineup? Can they give us the goals, especially looking at the defense of these 3 African countries you are going to meet?
Well, I think when you look at the attacking lineup, for the goals to come up, you need a solid midfield, and I think the ball distributors, those giving in those passes, that is where the problem lies. I mean, Kofane is a young player. He is a finisher. We equally have a player like Mr. Patrick Soko, who is equally a good striker coming up, very young. But I think it's going to depend on the coach. We can't say exactly who is going to be the main striker, given that these are players for most who have never been in the team as strikers who don't have that experience. So the magic is going to lie in the hands of the coach in order to harness this attackers to know who is going in. I mean, we have 6 attackers, and among the 6 attackers, none of them has really made a solid name apart from Basogog. None of the other attackers have not made a name with the national team.
Interesting one. That was an interesting one, Lawrence. We wish Cameroon all the best in the AFCON 2025. Ghana wouldn't be present at the AFCON. We wish we were there to at least show our prowess in there. But as you did mention, you guys are going with an inexperienced squad. But as I did mention, the last time you guys went with an inexperienced squad. You were champions of that particular tournament, so we are wishing Cameroon all the best.
Exactly. But I believe you choose the better side that's qualifying for the World Cup instead of the AFCON because financially you are better off, and you can play them every time. But a World Cup event is every 4 years. So I think Ghana made the best option. Thank you. Pleasure.
All right, thank you so much, Lawrence. So that was Lawrence Nkede, who is a Cameroonian sports journalist and also a consultant for CRTV. So you had Lawrence Nkede, who is a sports journalist in Cameroon and also a consultant for CRTV, giving us a breakdown of whatever is happening in the camp of Cameroon. Sottie, you heard him speak about a lot of things. What were pickaways or takeaways?
For me, I think it now explains why. I think I now understand what had happened. I think a few months ago I saw the press conference where Andrew Nana, Visabu Waka, Michael Ngadu were in the front row, and I think Andre Frank, Zambo Anguissa. So for me, the only surprising thing for me now was because Zambo Anguissa is injured. I'm thinking if Anguissa was fit, did that mean that Anguissa would have also been benched? And I think that's what's interesting for me. I think what I also for me is interesting is we did a breakdown of the squad. So out of these players you've seen on the screens, 15 of these players will be making their debut at their AFCON debut. So out of the 26 players, 15 of them have never been at the AFCON. So it means almost more than half of these players have never been to the AFCON, and 5 of those players have never even played for Cameroon before. 8 of these players have been to the AFCON once. 4 of these players have been to the AFCON twice, and only 1 player, Christian Basoga, has been to the AFCON more than once. In fact, he has been to the AFCON 3 times, 2017, 2019, and 2021. For me now, I think there's a lot of conversation that we can have about this Cameroonian squad. One, who replaces Benza Abubakar? Because since Abubakar, before transitioning or phasing him out of the squad, there was a gradual process of easing him out of the squad. So a player like Carl Itaye-Young, he's originally with Villarreal in the La Liga, but this is he's on loan at Levante. He has also started a few games, but he hasn't performed too well. And there's a player like Frank Magritte in the French League. I think he's with Toulouse. The thing is, he does very well at club side, but in the national team, teams don't work for him. So there's always a balance between, do you play the one who is in fine form at club side and you trust that he could get a job done, or a player who delivers at club side but does not translate that into the national team. Now there's a conversation about Christian Kofani. He has scored 3 goals and provided 1 assist in 11 games for Bayer Leverkusen. He's a new entrant into this team. Do you push him immediately into the team, or you relax a little, or you transition into? So I think it's a conversation that would be interesting to have. Also for David Pagu as well. He comes into the team on the back of being a very strict disciplinarian as one of the assistant coaches of the team. And one of the things I learned in school was the definition of politics. They say who gets what, when, and how. Samuelito just got his power, his grip on power after being re-elected. And his first first decision he made to sack Mark Breeze, bring in David Pagu. His second decision is to make sure that all the key players who gave him bad press, he made sure none of them are out. And you know, it helps him in a way. Abubakar, for example, it was easier to take off Abubakar because he's aged. Onana was where the challenge is. Because Onana is in fine form after his poor run of form at United. He's now doing very well at Trabzonspor. So the argument is that this is Onana's time to show the world that he really has it. It was just a momentary setback at United. And then you've taken that one a bargaining chip that Onana had from him. I think that's truly the definition of politics. You hold power, you hold on to power, and you make sure that you hit who your so-called enemies are. That's a typical Machiavellian playbook you are seeing from Samuel Eto'o. And it mirrors the political situation in Cameroon. Their president has held on to power for so long, almost in certain points unopposed. Eto'o also goes to an election unopposed with some of his family members as some of the delegates in the election. The true African politics at play.
Interesting times in African football. Let's see how Cameroon will perform. The last time they were in such a situation where some key players didn't want to feature at the AFCON, they went on to win the AFCON with unknown players like Christian Bassogog. So let's see how it goes this time around that they are sending inexperienced players. So that'll be all for talking points, and we'll move on to Ghana Focus. But before we move on to Ghana Focus, remember this show is also brought to you by Club Beer, and they're saying that your favorite Club Beer is still crisp and refreshing and has been bringing Charlies together since 1931. Whatever the link up, enjoy Club Beer Mini for just 10 Ghana cedis and also Club Beer Large for 15 Ghana cedis only. Enjoy with your Charlies in your favorite moments and more. Club Beer, crisp and refreshing, perfect for sharing with Charlies and pairing with everything you love. Drink responsibly. Remember, not for sale to persons under 18 years old, and it's not recommended for pregnant women. We go for a breather. When we come back, Ghana Focus is on.
I feel but on the club with the beer, you go like them. For the rich days, if you be rich days, and barman, I'm buying club, okay, for that man, hey. Oh, it's on me, hey.
Drink responsibly, not for sale to persons below 18 years, not recommended for pregnant women. This advert is FDA approved.
Introducing Betway's Bet Influencer, a groundbreaking feature where you can make money by just sharing codes. He just needs to share his codes and make money. The more his codes are used, the more money he makes. Oh yes, so what are you waiting for? Anyone can be a bet influencer. Share your codes and make money. Bet Influencer, another world first from Betway.
This advert has been approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Betway, get way more.
Welcome back from everybody. You're still watching Sports World on ABC News Ghana with me, James Ohenba McKeown. It's time for Ghana Focus, and what are we doing? We are focusing on the Black Queens of Ghana. Yesterday, they lost 2-0 to the Lioness of England, European champions, at the St. Mary's Park in Southampton. But how has their year been like? I think it's been a very good year for them. They went to the WAFCON, in Morocco, where they won the bronze medal. A medal a lot of people were not tipping them to win because of the change in management, the change in the coaching staff, and also new players coming in there. But how did their year go? So we have on the phone line Abel Frames Jr., who is a women's football expert. We are going to have some discussion about women football and going forward to the next year's AFCON. How can the Black Queens improve on their performances? Abel, if you can hear me, good evening and welcome to Sports World.
Good evening, James. I can hear you loud and clear.
Great to have you. You were supposed to be in the studio, but the rains couldn't allow you to be here. But let's move on to business. 2025 Black Queens. This year, at the start of the year, Nora Haptel was still in the helm of affairs as Black Queens head coach. Fast forward, somewhere around February, March, she resigned and went to Zambia. Came in, and we've seen some games that were played also in the WAFCON, and also yesterday he played his final game in 2025. In general, how will you assess the year for the Black Queens?
Well, it's not been that bad. If you look at the Queens and where we are coming from, you could tell that you can say that. Well, of course, we did in the last years, but missing out on the previous WAFCON. Fortunately, we were able to qualify under Nora, who decided to quit before the tournament. And so, but a little correction before. So Nora actually left the Queens in December. That was when she left to take on to take the Zambian job. It was after so she played the Zambian game, the two-legged Olympic qualifier against Zambia, and then she also played the international friendly against Japan. Unfortunately, we lost that game by 4-0. That was the last game in 2024 where Japanese beat Ghana by 4-0. In the first half, our captain Portia Boachi was booked. She got sent off. in the 28th minute, and so the game thinned out for the Black Queens. And then in January, Kim Last came in and took over the affairs, and then, but before that, if you are digesting the whole Black Queens, before that, before Nora was creating, we were 66 on the FIFA ranking.
Okay.
That is in the world. But if in Africa we were the fifth behind Morocco, behind Nigeria, South Africa, Morocco, and then Zambia in that order before Ghana. And our best actually on the ranking before states was actually in 2023, in June 2023, where we were ranked 58 in the world, and then also we still maintain a fifth position in Africa. That was it. Then before Kim Laz also got appointed somewhere between the 14th and 16th of January, 14th and 15th of January, when his appointment was made to replace Nora Hapto, who actually didn't renew her contract, obviously because the reason that she gave was because the FA wasn't backing her enough. They were not giving her games, and if proud to the pre-WAFCON friendlies that we engaged in, we were ranked the least the least played country. We were ranked among the least countries to have played friendly matches, because we were not taking advantage of the women's international window. So the midfield wasn't getting games, so they were not arranging games for the Queens, unlike that of the Black Stars. And so she left to actually take over Zambia. So that was after the Olympic Games, and then the defeat against Japan, as mentioned earlier. Our first game in 2025 was actually against Morocco, where we conceded late in the 90+1 minute, where we conceded against 1. So we ended the game 1 goal down, and then followed by a 2 game with Senegal. Actually, there were 2 games were played in Senegal. We won 1, and then Senegal also won 1. But let me stay a while on the whole ranking.
Okay.
Actually, we dropped from 60. We dropped from 65th. So in January, we were 65th in the world, and still maintain our fifth position.
You have just 1 minute remaining. You can down.
Hello, Abel.
Yeah. Hello.
All right. Let's get back to you. Since we are having a few technical challenges, we'll get back to you in some few minutes so that you take us through the rankings and everything that you are mentioning. So that was Abel Frames Jr. taking us through the rankings, and he did the correction that for the Black Queens of Ghana, Nora resigned in December 2024, where his contract ended. She didn't extend. Fast forward, we played some games against Morocco. We played some friendly games against Japan. Didn't go on so well, but also in the FIFA rankings, we kept on improving and everything. Then came last Bioko Green, who played some qualified the Queens to the WAFCON tournament, and then we went on to win bronze recently. So we will try to get to Abel again to give us more updates, whether to see whether Kimlas Bjorkegren is doing an interesting job. I remember when he came in, a lot of people were not enthused about him because of where he had coached before. Yes, he had coached in Sweden. He had won a lot of titles. But then looking at the framework of what Nora had done, a lot of people thought that Kim couldn't do or go to the standard that Nora hoped last set for him. But I think that, in my personal opinion, Nora is doing a lot of Kim is doing a lot of good work. We've seen his style of play. When he came in, it wasn't looking so interesting. We're conceding, we're losing goals. But as time went on, with the introduction of some foreign-born players like Josephine Bonsu, with Chantel Boy also coming into the fray. Yesterday we saw Benedict Simon also making up his debut for the Black Queens. You've seen that a lot of things have changed. We went on to the WAFCON, won interesting games, and also went on to win the bronze title. And yesterday against England, these are the sort of friendly games that Nora was calling for, but Bioka Green has it now, and it's looked good on us. Yes, we didn't create a lot of chances, but if you have about 5 or 4 of these games, having these top tier friends consistent, I think that the Queens will come good. We'll go for a breather. When we come back, we try to get in touch with Abel and also bring other segments. Stay tuned.
Playing for your country, enye easy. Scoring, enye easy. Winning, enye easy. You know what be easy now? Kibo 4-in-1 Gary mix. Aye easy. It gets everything inside. Gary, creamer, sugar, roasted groundnuts. Just add water. Sharp my soakings make ready. Taste and energy. Made easy. I'm a match winner, but the real champion is Kibo 4-in-1 Gary mix. Champion taste.
Also available strawberry, coconut, and chocomore. This advert is FDA approved.
I feel but on the coffee, the beer, you go like them. For the rich taste, if you be rich taste, and the little
Barman, I'm buying club, okay, for that man. Hey, oh, it's on me. Hey.
Drink responsibly, not for sale to persons below 18 years, not recommended for pregnant women. This advert is FDA approved.
Introducing Betway's Bet Influencer, a groundbreaking feature where you can make money by just sharing codes. He just needs to share his codes and make money. The more his codes are used, the more money he makes. Oh yes, so what are you waiting for? Anyone can be a bet influencer. Share your codes and make money. Bet Influencer, another world first from Betway.
This advert has been approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Betway, get way more.
Welcome back from the break. You're still watching Sports World on ABC News Ghana with me, James Ohenba McKeown. Trying our best to get to Abel Frames Jr. For their conversation. But before we get to him, remember there are some games going on in Europe, the English Premier League, the Spanish La Liga, and also there are some games in Italy. Let me quickly take you through the results that are trooping tonight. So if you go to the English Premier League, Wolverhampton Wanderers at the Molineux Stadium are playing against Nottingham Forest, and that game, 43 minutes of action. Earlier on, Igor Jesus scored a goal, but they are reviewing it to see whether it will stand. If it will stand, then that means Nottingham Forest up by a goal. To the Emirates Sports Stadium, Arsenal, the Gunners, who are on top of the English Premier League table, are currently leading Brentford by a goal. Mikel Merino scoring in the 11th minute. If they win this game, that means they are still extending their lead at least behind ahead of Manchester City by 5 points. In other games, to the Amex Stadium, Brighton and Hove Albion are playing against Aston Villa, and they are currently leading Unai Emery's men by 2-1. John Paul Van Paul scoring for Brighton, and also Oli Watkins scoring the consolation goal for Aston Villa. Now to other games, Burnley are also playing against Crystal Palace. That game is currently 0-0. Remember, in a minute's time, Chelsea will meet Leeds United in another exciting game. Then Liverpool also play against Sunderland. That's an interesting game at Anfield that will come up. And let's move on to the Spanish La Liga. Already some games were played about 2 hours ago. And yesterday, Barcelona beat Atletico Madrid by 3-1. Today, Athletic Club Bilbao lost to Real Madrid 3-0. Kylian Mbappe scoring a brace, while Eduardo Camavinga scoring the other goal. So that is the Spanish La Liga. On Friday, Real Oviedo will play against Mallorca. Let me see whether there are some other interesting games that are currently going on across Europe and also in the world. Yes, so there are some Copa del Rey games going on. Talavera are playing against Malaga, still 0-0 in there. Real Murica has beaten Cadiz by 3-0. 52 minutes is being played, and that leads us to Betway Odd Board. Let's move on to Betway Odd Board. We have some games for you this particular weekend, and that's it on your screens. So these are the games. Aston Villa will play against Arsenal Football Club. We are saying it's over 1.5 in that game. CD Tondela will play against FC Porto. We are saying it's a FC Porto win. PSV Eindhoven in the Dutch Eredivisie will travel and meet Herenveen. We are saying that PSV Eindhoven is going to win that game. Then Saint Trudinisi VV will play against Club Brugge. We are saying it's a win or draw for Club Brugge. Then FC Augsburg in the German Bundesliga will play against Bayer Leverkusen. We are saying it's a win or draw for Bayer Leverkusen. The AFC in Bournemouth will also play against Chelsea. It's a win or draw for Chelsea. So the booking code is BW26319679. BW26319679. Betway more. They are saying that just share your course with your friends, fans, and followers, and you earn 4% of their wager. Let's come back to the studio and let's see. You can still get in touch with Abel. If you can't, let me quickly go through some of the results for you. Rosa Saidad are in contention. Currently, Robertis are beating Torrent CF in the Copa del Rey, and that game between Leeds United and Chelsea has also started. Let me go through the lineup for these two teams. For Chelsea, Robert Sanchez is in post. Marco Correa, Badiashile, Uncle Adarobioyo is in there, and Trevor Chalobah is playing at the right back. In midfield, we have Enzo Fernandez and Andre Santos. Remember, Caicedo had a record against Arsenal. Andre Santos has been introduced into the fray. Gettins, João Pedro, Estival, and Liam Delap are leading the attacking front for Chelsea Football Club. If we go to Leeds United, they were beaten 3-2 over the weekend by Manchester City. Lucas Perry is imposed. Joe Rondon, Jacques Bijou, Pascal are playing in that defense. They are playing a 3-back. Then the midfield, you have Jaden Bogle, Al Tanaka, Ethan Ampedu is the captain of the side. Anton starts. Calvin Lewin is starting over the weekend. He came from the bench, and Mecha is also starting for them. So that is the Leeds United versus Chelsea game. So this is how we wrap up Sports World on ABC News Ghana. My name is James Ohenba McKeown. Earlier on, you heard from Eugene Ofori Sottie during the talking point. You also heard from Lawrence Nkede giving us our update of what's going on in the camp of Cameroon. We also heard from Abel Frames Jr. Reviewing the performances of the Black Queens. Shout outs to all the technical guys who helped with production, from Romeo to Finger to Prince to Sly to Sammy the Slugger, to everyone who helped in terms of production and everything. We say a big thank you for you. Remember, tomorrow ABC in the morning comes your way with Abnamanti. Before that, there will be ABC headlines with Khadija Isifu and Abba. That's how we wrap up the show. We are saying good night and enjoy the rest of our programs. Adios.